Hi everyone, my name is Tosin George. I am a data scientist living in Lagos, Nigeria. I create tutorial videos around various topics in data science. And for the past 4 weeks, we've been working on the Riby Financial data set. We've been creating series of visualizations around that data set. And today I'm so excited that we've come to the fourth and final video in this series of videos around data visualization for the Riby Financial data set. I want to say a big thank you for your likes, for your comments, and subscriptions to the channel. Thank you for supporting my journey as a data scientist in Lagos, Nigeria. Okay, so let's just get started into the video. We've started this for the past 4 weeks. I'll put in links in the description as well as somewhere, in the timeline so that you can go back to the previous videos that we've been working on. So we've created series of visualizations, we've explored the revenue and the profit trends, for the top 10 generating countries, top 10 revenue generating countries. We've also explored revenue and profit for the products. And yes, I think that's what we've basically done in the past 3 videos, right? And one thing you should know that this is my own interpretation of how I would see the Riby financial data set. In your own case, you might want to explore, say, the total cost. You might want to explore just the units sold. So it depends on what's expected of you or has been required of you. But for me, this is more exploratory, right? And I'm just trying to see, okay, what's really happening with the revenue and profit, in this data set. So today we're just going to use one chart to sort of, finalize and end my visualization for the data set. So I'm just going to get us started. So usually I'd like to start with the title of the page. So I'm going to put in my text box right here. This is the text box here. So what do I want in here? So I think I want key influencers because I'm going to be using the key influencer chart. So I'm just going to put in key influencers and recommendations because that's basically what this visualization is all about. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I think I'm also going to make this 20. And I'm going to put in the middle and that's it. Sorry, it's a bit dry. So sorry for the slight cough there. Okay, so to make changes, to change the background, I'm going to go to effects and then I'm going to go to color. This is the color we've been using in the past few weeks, so I'm just going to stick with that. I don't need to put in a visual border. I don't also need to put in a shadow, so I'm pretty much good with that. Sorry. Okay, so for the purpose of this video, I'm going to use what is called the key influencer chart. So the key influencer chart is basically telling you what is influencing a particular column. And for the purpose of this chart, I'm going to be focusing on the total profit. So I want to see what are some of the things, influencing my total profit? What causes my total profit to increase? And by what amount will my total profit increase? Right. And one thing you should also note for the key influencer chart is that it doesn't seem to work well with categorical columns. So these are columns that contain text. So it does much better with quantitative columns that contain just numbers, right? So this is what is known as the key influencer chart. So I'm just going to click on that and put it in my visualization area and then adjust the size. Just adjust the look here. I think this is out of, okay, yeah. So we have it here. Okay, so I'm going to put in my total profit there. Okay, but it won't show me anything because it needs me to be able to put in other columns I want the total profit to be explained by. So I want it to be explained first by total revenue. So I'm just going to put in total revenue. And total revenue will sit in the explained by field. And then I'm putting my unit sold as well. So that's just what I want to see. And so you can see the chart changing. This is basically telling me that, what influences total profit to increase. You can also click on decrease, but I want to just see why total profit increases. Who doesn't want to see why their profit is increasing? But doesn't mean you can't explore decrease, but, it just depends on what you'd like to see. So this is basically telling me that when the sum of total profit revenue goes up by this amount, right, the average total profit increase by this amount. When the unit sold goes up by this amount, average total profit increases by this amount. I can add in more columns, say for example, total cost. You can see when it tells you that when the total cost goes up by this amount, average total in profit increases by this amount. So it just depends on what you'd like to see. And in my own case, I just want to see how total profit is being affected by total revenue and units sold. So this is also a chart explaining that. I'm more interested in the numbers. So it's pretty much this straightforward, nothing really, difficult to do. And for these key influencers, because I have recommendations that I want to put in here, I did not bother to create like a separate insight. So I'm just going to put in my insight right in the recommendation. Right. And as I've always done before, I usually would have written my recommendations because a long text, there's a long body of text. I don't want to waste time just writing it in. So I'm just going to pull it from where I put it on page 6, and then we'll go through it together. So let me just copy it from here. Okay, so this is more like a summary. So if you want to know how I did this, it's just a text box, right? And I type things in. So this is basically like a summary of all the insights I've uncovered from page 1 to page 5. And these are my recommendations, right? To say Africa and Europe are the largest revenue generating and most profitable regions, chiefly due to the number of countries both regions represent. If you go to the first video, you'll see that for Europe and Africa, they represent 48 countries compared to the other regions. And I think that the reason why they're the most profitable regions and the highest revenue generative regions is because of the number of countries there. So the more countries you're in, the more revenue or profit you're likely to generate. So I would recommend that penetrating other countries in Asia, South America and Caribbean, and Australia and Australia would be good to increase profits and revenue. Then another recommendation would be improve revenue generation. So comparing the two most profitable regions, Sub-Saharan Africa and Europe, it is observed that there are 5 European countries in the bottom 10 revenue generating countries. However, there are no Sub-Saharan countries represented in the bottom 10 list. So it tells you that there's certain countries in Sub-Saharan Africa, or in general, Sub-Saharan Africa really seems to be doing very, very well. So for me, I'd like to explore, what is it that Sub-Saharan Africa is doing well that they have no country represented in the bottom 10? And compared to Europe, where they also are one of the top revenue generating regions. However, 5 of those countries in Europe are in the bottom 10. So, this is something that you now begin to say, okay, how is this going to affect how we make decisions for this business? So, for example, as the CEO of Riby, you hear these recommendations, it then influences how, decisions should be taken based on what the data has shown us. This is what I think we should do. This is what our recommendation should be you know. Then another recommendation I would think of is exploring outliers, right? So usually the more revenue you generate, the more profits you earn. However, a couple of outlier countries did not follow that trend. For instance, Iran is the least generating country, but the profit generated is quite high. Actually, it doesn't mean that it's quite high, but compared to the bottom 10 countries, it's reasonable. Okay, so I'm just going to change that. Generated is, uh, you know, because I would say reasonable, but I think for lack of a better word now, I'm just going to put that there. So Iran is the least revenue generating country, but profit generated is not, or I can say is not too low. It's not the lowest. Okay, I can say that. So because you would expect that the lowest generating country should have the lowest profits, but it's not necessarily so. Serbia is the first revenue generating country, but the most profitable out of all the countries. So I explored, I would suggest exploring these outlier countries for insight. So what's happening in Serbia that's making them the most profitable country? What's happening in Iran? That despite the fact that it's the least revenue generating country, the profits is not that bad, right? It's not necessarily the lowest. So what's happening in those countries and how can we learn from those countries to increase revenue and profit? Another thing I recommended was increase average unit price. In the last video, we explored the average unit prices of our products, and we discovered that for some of the products uh, that there were a number of products that did really well by units sold, by volume, right? They sold more. But then if you look at the profit, they didn't generate so much profit. And I think one of the reasons that we uncovered in the video last week was that the average price for those products were a bit low. So obviously, if you price something averagely at say $4, you price another thing at $600. If you sell 1,000 of something worth $4, is 4,000. But if you sell 1,000 pieces of something worth $600, 600,000, right? So obviously, that average price, affects how much profit and revenue you can generate. So if we're looking at, this product's doing better, maybe it's time to start to review what the average prices of this should be. So these are my own recommendations. This is what I think based on the charts that I've produced. In your own case, you might have more recommendations, you might have fewer recommendations, you might want to, find research to back these your recommendations. For me, I didn't do any research. It was just basically what I picked out of these charts here, right? Yeah, so it's based on what you like, right? So this is how I would approach the Ruby data visualization series and Ruby financial data sets visualization series. And this is basically like the end. But what I would then go on to do is to just rename the tabs. So you can see that I have page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what I would like to do is to rename the tabs. So this is page 1 here. And I will rename the tabs based on what's actually on that page. So for page 1 here, I think we basically just explored countries and regions, or we could say key metrics, countries and regions. Key metrics referring to these card visualizations here. So what I'm going to do is right click on that, or rather double click. So you just press backspace and then begin to type in what you want in there. So this is key metrics, countries, and regions. Okay. Page 2, I'm going to double click as well. Yes, and just click backspace so I can type in. This is revenue. I just put in revenue versus profit. So it doesn't have to be this way, Give it whatever meaning you think it deserves. So page 3, I'm going to double click on that as well. And this is basically revenue and profit trend. So I'm going to put in revenue and profit trend. Okay, enter. Page 4, I'm going to double click on that, click on backspace, or just start typing really. And then this is revenue, basically just name it after the title of this page. Revenue versus profit by product. Well, product revenue versus profit here. Then page 5, I think that's where I have my key influencers and recommendation. So I'm going to put in I'll just type in key influencers, key influencers and recommendation. The key influencer chart is very explanatory. It's like straight to the point. I don't even think it needs an extra insights. Okay. Well, in your case, you might want to add something else. So that's it. 8. So this is how I've named my tabs, right? So this is what we've been doing in the past 4 weeks now. So yeah. So the next step for most people is to basically share this. So you can either decide to publish this on the Power BI service. I'll not be showing you that. I'll just, show you how to export the file as a PDF file, right? So I usually export this, download this. That's what I just said. that's just what I basically meant. So I usually download this as a PDF file. You can also download it as a Power BI template, but then that needs to be opened in Power BI. So and not everyone will have Power BI on their desktop, right? So I just prefer to do PDF. So it's easily shared, and when you just click on the PDF file, you see you see the charts and the visualizations and the insights. So what we're going to do is to make sure we have everything saved. So I'll just click on Control Save there. Okay, so it basically pops this up, but let me cancel that because I want to download it as a PDF file. So just going to go to File and then go to Export. Okay, so go to Export and then Export to PDF. Okay, yes, it takes a bit of time. So if I just want to just give it some time, I think under a minute or few seconds. Yes, just give it some time, just going through each page and generating reports. So just wait for it a bit, to download so that it's something you can just easily share. So I enjoy, putting this in PDF formats. I think it's almost done. If not, yes, I think it's done. It seems to have opened the tab. Okay. Yes, perfect. Now, so it's downloaded and opened it in another tab for me. Yes, so this is the tab and this is in PDF format. So you can easily share this, with wherever. Or it did not pick the key. Oh, okay, okay. So this what happened. I didn't take out the recommendation on page 6, so it has, printed page 6 as well. But if I were you, I'll just completely take out page 6, right? So I'll delete page 6 from the recommendation so that I just have 5 pages. But this is how it will look, and you can easily share this. So thank you so much for watching the video today. I'm so excited, like I said in the beginning, that this is the final video in the Riby Financial data set. For the Riby Financial data set, I do look forward to bringing you another exciting video next week. Please be on the lookout for the video. So thank you so much, everyone. Do have a lovely, lovely morning. It's morning now, so do have a lovely, lovely morning and have a beautiful week ahead. All right then, bye-bye. Thank you.